Alright, it's Wednesday, and we're going to end the week of wrestling content with a little TNA Impact. And there's a lot of things that have been happening lately, obviously. We had the video yesterday talking about Raw, Ashley and myself doing the Skype conversation, and on Monday we talked NXT. This is how we ended every single week here on Pop, and that is talking TNA Impact. So, we're going to kick off the coverage of last week's Impact, and of course, you can check out TNA on Destination America this Friday at 9 p.m. if you want to see Tag Team Gold, a special show that will set up a crowning of a new TNA World Tag Team Champions after Eddie Edwards had to vacate the championships for the Wolves because of an injury. So we're going to get an 8-team tournament to determine new World Tag Team Champions. There's going to be 4 qualifying matches. The winners of those 4 qualifying matches go on to an Ultimate X match to determine the new champions. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start off the show with Kurt Angle coming out. He says, there's been some controversy after the match last week, obviously the world title match with Bobby Lashley. And, he's going to call Lashley out because he's a stand-up guy and he understands that Lashley has a legitimate gripe. So they watch the replay, and it's clear as day Lashley's shoulder was definitely off the canvas. So Lashley says, you know what, let's do this again one more time. And Angle's like, fine, we'll do this, no issues. Let's do it tonight. Well, this brings out Eric Young. And he says he's the top contender. He's number 1 on the rankings. So Lashley needs to get to the back of the line and realize that he's the one that's going to get another title shot. Lashley says you want the shot, you gotta earn it, and EY earns it by raking Lashley's eyes. Angle goes for the German, and of course he gets low-blowed, and he ends up getting accidentally murder-death killed by Bobby Lashley. We come back from commercial break, and Angle says he wants both men tonight with the championship on the line. Why? Because he's the best. I like this. I like this way to start off the show. I think it worked really well. I think it's building to a really great potential main event between 3 top superstars of the TNA, and I'm looking forward to see where we go from here. We get our next match. It is our number 1 contendership match for the TNA Knockouts Championship, currently held by Taryn Terrell. It is the feud of the century of the Knockouts division, Gail Kim and Awesome Kong. I really enjoyed this match as well. It's definitely better than a 2-minute battle royal that was on Raw, and it's comparable, or comparable in this case, I guess you would say the right wording here. Sorry, it's late. I'll be honest with you guys, it's almost 11:30 on Tuesday night, so it's late. So it's comparable that it could connect with maybe an NXT women's match, but Gail Kim and Awesome Kong are the gold standard when it comes to TNA, and they always have been, and their matches are always spectacular, and this was a really good match as well. So we pick it up off the midway point. Kong hits the chokeslam, gets a 2 count off of that. So Gail's up, she starts pounding away in the corner, and she hits her crossbody in the corner, but she basically just bounces right off of Kong. Kong grabs the turnbuckle pad and removes it. It tries to the first time. The second time she actually does so. Whips her in and gets countered by a goozle from Kong, and Gail turns it into a guillotine choke. So Kong backs her into the buckle, not the exposed turnbuckle, but a buckle nonetheless, and then dumps her outside. Gail hits the shotgun dropkick, which sends Kong into the guardrail, and they both roll in by 5 counts. So Gail starts kicking away at the hamstrings, trying to knot him up, and preventing a potential powerbomb later on. Kong's like, and shoves her off, and Kong charges in. Gail makes her eat the boot, tosses her into the corner. Gail starts forearming away, showing some fire here, charging clothesline. She heads up top. The 180 fighting body press does connect 1-2 and a kick out. So she goes for eat defeat. Kong shoves her off. Kong charges head first to the exposed buckle, roll up from behind 1-2, and no, Kong kicks away yet again. Gail does connect with eat defeat. Finally, Kong kicks out at 2.5, and Gail's still pounding away. Gets caught with the goozle, gets put on the buckle. Gail goes for a head scissors, gets caught, sit out powerbomb, and that's all she wrote. 1, 2, 3, and Awesome Kong is going to move on to a guaranteed championship match against Taryn Terrell somewhere down the line. I enjoyed this match a lot. I thought it's a really good back and forth match. TNA women's matches don't get enough credit. Now, these are two of the innovators of the Knockouts division in TNA, and I'm very happy to see them face off in the ring yet again, and I really look forward to the match with Taryn Terrell. I think Taryn Terrell is definitely coming to her own as a Knockouts champion, and I really like to see what direction we're headed here. We see Cowboy James Storm in the back, and he's talking to Mickie James about basically saving her from an attack from Bram last week, and they hug, and basically she thanks him for what he did. Storm says, you know what, I did the right thing. When it comes down to it, no man should ever hit a woman. Manic shows up and is like, dude, what's going on? And Storm's like, here, have some food. Don't question what I do. Never. Now, you guys need to round up the boys because we're going to have ourselves a little fight. What this is turns out to be a three-way match to determine which member of the Revolution is going to move on to team with Cowboy James Storm, the tag team extraordinaire, in the upcoming Tag Team Gold Tournament, which starts this Friday. Now, the funny thing about that is, auspicious by his absence is the great Sonata, who basically has screwed up so many times that he's pretty much been given his walking papers from the Revolution. He still works for TNA as far as I know, but he is not a part of the Revolution any longer. James Storm is probably looking for someone else. And I think I know exactly who he's looking for. But we can't talk about that yet because it hasn't happened on television. This match is short, straight, and to the point. Basically, Koya proves his worth by using this solid wooden walking stick that James Storm brought out, and he wears out Abyss with it, and he hits Manic with it, and then he nails his Riding Bomb and gets the 3 count. So Koya is moving on to team with James Storm, proving the second time that James Storm and Trick Nasty have been in the same building. A reference that probably no one that's watching this video is going to get, but comedy for one is still comedy. They really must see something in Koya. They saw something in him in Rinka King, and I don't really get the big deal about the guy yet. He kind of reminds me of Rob Terry. He's got like one thing going for him, and with Terry it's his looks. With Koya it's that Riding Bomb, which looks awesome every time he hits it, but he's not really allowed to do anything else. He's basically been beaten down. He's basically been parts of beatdowns. That's all he's done. So until I see more in the ring from Koya, I can't really say anything about him, but I'm curious to see how him and James Storm do in the tournament this week when we talk about it next week. So we get the Rising officially coming out and finally revealing who they are. Dear Galloway comes out with the former Camacho and the former Sean Rickert. So Galloway says, I've always just wanted to be a wrestler. From when I was 15 years old, and I will be a wrestler until the day that I no longer can walk. He came to TNA to make a change, and because he couldn't do it by himself, because the numbers game was way too hard, way too heavy on him, he had to bring his brothers. So he introduces them one by one. Camacho grabs the mic and basically says, his name is Micah. He reveals himself to be what he truly is, the son of Haku. Wrestling runs in his veins. Eli Drake cuts a nice promo when he reveals himself to be that. He says, I'm not a robot, and I'm not a superstar, I'm a professional wrestler. And they will together take down the Beatdown Clan. They are the voice of the silent. There is a light if you're willing to fight. If, you know, that's, like, there should be a hashtag there. And it should be on the back of the Rising shirt, honestly. Because that just jumps at me immediately. Beatdown Clan come out, and MVP doesn't own the place anymore. They're going to get their war, and MVP says, you know what? What's all said and done, it all ends tonight. So they brawl, and we actually get a sanctioned 6-man tag to be our next match. It is the Rising of Drew Galloway, Eli Drake, and Micah taking on the Beatdown Clan, tonight represented by MVP, Kenny King, and Low Ki. So I enjoyed this. It was a good way to introduce somebody that should have been in the Beatdown Clan since day one, but they took their time. Someone's watching these videos, because obviously it made perfect sense for this guy to be a part of Beatdown Clan, but we're not there yet. So MVP whips Micah in, nails a big boot, puts a knee across the chest, very lax cover, gets a 2 off of that, goes for the drive-by kick, but it misses, and Micah connects with a Samoan drop. Tag in Galloway, tag in Low Ki, big boot on Low Ki. He knocks Kenny King off the ring apron. Galloway tosses Low Ki in the corner, starts clubbing away, then stomping away in the corner, grabs him by the throat, picks him up in the air by the throat, and tosses him to the turnbuckle. Charges in Low Ki, gets both boots up, and McIntyre... Oh, whoops. Wrong. Sorry. Galloway hits... I gotta get used to that. Galloway hits a sick kick. Kenny King gets in, and Galloway ducks the clothesline. Eli with a pop-up, over-the-shoulder... like, toss-back slam. Basically like an over-the-shoulder... I can't say an over-the-shoulder fall-away slam, because it's like, he picks him up, he lands him on the shoulder like an over-the-shoulder power slam, and then he just tosses him back. So, looks interesting. So, MVP gets low-bridged over the top to the floor, Micah goes up top, dives on the Beatdown Clan, and then there's a guy with a, I can't say he's wearing a mask, he's wearing a t-shirt across his face, you can't tell who he is. And he attacks Galloway and Eli Drake with this riot baton. And the second you saw the riot baton, you probably knew exactly who it was. And sure enough, when he rips off the shirt, yes, the notorious 187 Homicide is now in the Beatdown Clan where he belongs. They beat down the Rising and the BDC stand tall. It's gang warfare again in TNA, and I don't have a problem with that. Sometimes you have a stable basically trying to take over the entire company. Beatdown Clan just want the title, and they're willing to hold it as a collective, and that's it. And the Rising just want to promote change. I like this. I like this a lot. I think it works very well, and I like what they're doing. Drake's really comfortable on the microphone, and Micah works really well too. I mean, he was very underrated in WWE when he was doing Camacho, and they both showed up. It's funny because Drake and Micah competed in a gut check match back in February before I started rewatching TNA again. And Micah won in order to get that spot in the company. So I found it really interesting they put them together. It's kind of like when Doug Basham and The Machine were feuding in OVW and they took off the mask and called him Danny Basham and they put him together as a tag team when they brought him up to the main roster. Pretty much the same concept. Kurt Angle's in the back, and Eric Young attacks him and chokes him and says, "Mine, mine, mine." He turns into the birds from Finding Nemo. He takes the championship and he bombs out. There's a trainer checking on Kurt Angle, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And Angle's like, "Yeah, I have to win. I have to defend my championship tonight." So yes, Kurt Angle, as I'm sure a great man once said, he has more guts than brains when it comes to competing in the ring. We get a singles match, Davey Richards against DJ Zema Ion. This match is really good as well. So Zema hits the flapjack, goes up top of the Sky Twister press. He misses. They trade punches when they get back to their feet. Davey hits a spinning back kick, whip in, and DJ cuts him off with a forearm. Or DJ Z cuts him off with a forearm. So a clothesline sends DJ Zema over the top rope to the floor. Davey hits the tope to the guardrail, tosses him in, goes up top, shotgun dropkick, connects. 3 round kicks, whip in, reverse, and... I have to continue my notes, sorry. Handspring round kick, connects 1-2, and a kick out. So, Creeping Death is ducked this time. Countered by DJ Z with a jawbreaker. Charging clothesline by DJ Z, puts him on the buckle. He mocks the Howl to try to finish him off with a superplex. He gets headbutted off, and Davey Richards hits the Invader double foot stomp to nothing but the ground. Lands on his feet and charges in. DJ Z ends up shoulder block on the ring apron. He does the rope through DDT, which gets countered. Ducks the clothesline, pop-up kick, Creeping Death, 1, 2, 3, and the match is over. Short match, but effective. Davey Richards proving he wants the X Division Championship, and with Eddie Edwards on the shelf for the foreseeable future, I'm curious to see exactly where we go with this. The Beatdown Clan are in the back, and they're welcoming Low Ki and Kenny King and MVP are welcoming Homicide back to the fold. The Rising are in over their heads. They do what they want. And a great line from Homicide here. He says, obviously, to paraphrase a very famous line from a very famous rap song, he hit 187 on a long-haired Scot. I thought that was glorious. We get the vignette of the dollhouse, and no Heather Matarazzo here. It is Marty Bell and Jade, which is Mia Yim. And both of them actually were doing the Knockouts only pay-per-view, actually, but we won't talk about that. They're coming in as a team called the Dollhouse. It's interesting because they fit really well with, like, the Dollhouse of the Damned haunted attraction at Halloween Horror Nights last year. I thought that works. They have these dolls, and next thing you know, you see them, like, Marty Bell sucking a lollipop, I believe. And, like, they're doing Ring Around a Rosie around a dollhouse. It's really creepy and bizarre. And the next thing you know, you see, like, this spiked heel go into one of the dolls. Like, basically, Marty Bell and Jade are putting the entire Knockouts division on notice. Kind of like what the Beautiful People used to do, but completely creepily. I like this a lot. I think it works really well, and I'm really curious to see where we go from here. I actually do know where we go from here, but can't talk about that yet. So here comes the Hardys. They come out and they said it's finally time to become TNA World Tag Team Champions. It is Tag Team Championships that has not been able to be attained by them yet. They have not been TNA World Tag Team Champions. This is their chance to become Tag Team Champions. They're more focused than ever before, and sure enough, once Eddie Edwards is 100% again, the Wolves will definitely get their match, because obviously we want to see the Wolves and the Hardys yet again, because those matches were awesome. Ethan Carter III comes out with Tyrus, and he basically says, I'm undefeated, but it's not got me any title shots. So, you know what? I'm going to focus on the tag team gold, but I need a partner. And he doesn't pick Tyrus. No, he picks Bram, who hates everyone equally, but hates Ethan Carter just a little bit less, so he agrees to team with them. Basically, he just wants to beat up the fools in the locker room. Mr. Anderson comes out and talks about the size of EC3's junk. Yeah, not measuring up. He's teaming with Rockstar Spud yet again. And finally, Austin Aries comes out and he says, you know what? I'm a greedy bastard, so I'm going to try to win these gold as well. And the only way I can do it is with the greatest tag team partner that I've ever had, obviously, and that is the reformation of the Dirty Heels with Bobby Roode. So these teams will do battle. All the teams that were involved. They will do battle with the Revolution team, which is now James Storm and Koya. An interesting high-flying team of Tigre Uno and Jay Rios. And the Bromans, as well as the Beatdown Clan, represented by Kenny King and Low Ki. All 8 teams will battle, like I said, in a tournament to determine who will go on to an Ultimate X match to determine the new TNA World Tag Team Champions. And I'll tell you right now, without spoiling anything, right now, first round matches, we get the Hardys against the Revolution. How appropriate. We get the Beatdown Clan against Rockstar Spud and Mr. Anderson. We have the Dirty Heels against the Bromans, and we have Ethan Carter III and Bram taking on Tigre Uno and Jay Rios. So, let's talk main event, shall we? Main event 3-way for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. It is Kurt Angle defending against the Destroyer Lashley, as well as Showtime Eric Young. This match was really good as well. I liked it. Let's pick it up off the commercial break. But before so, Angle and Lashley hit a modified heart attack. Literally, the heart attack clothesline. And Lashley goes for a cover. Angle pulls him off. EY powders to the floor. And Lashley and Angle realize what he's up to. And they follow him out. So they pinball EY at the bottom of the ramp with punches. Lashley with a boot whips him into Angle's clothesline. And we go to commercial break. When we come back to live action, Lashley charges into an EY shoulder block on the ring apron. Slide through. And he eats a German suplex from Kurt Angle. Ducks Lashley's clothesline. And German suplex with the release. Charging clothesline sends EY over the top, in the corner. Charging clothesline on EY in the corner. Angle clotheslines Lashley over the top right to the floor. I had it flipped there. So a boot in and an overhand right. Boots in the corner. EY nailed with a snap suplex. He knocks Lashley off the apron for good measure. Makes a cover on EY 1-2 and a kick out. So European uppercut from the Olympic gold medalist. How appropriate. But he throws him like mad. Whips him in, ducks his head, and EY makes him eat a very stiff-looking pile driver, and Lashley makes the save before the 3 count can be completed. Lashley tosses EY to the floor, hits the Dominator over the shoulder power slam, gets a 2 off of that. Hanging vertical suplex connects, and murder death kill 1-2. EY makes the save. So EY gets shoved aside, and he ducks EY's clothesline. He ducks the clothesline. EY with a right hand comes off the ropes. Lashley with a leapfrog, and he lands on his knee, and it seems to buckle. So obviously, this is where EY's going to take over with his Greg the Hammer Valentine offense. So EY's low bridged over the top rope to the floor, and Lashley charges in. He puts on the brakes. Angle with the rolling Germans, 3 in succession, ducks the right hand. EY eats 3 rolling Germans, drops the straps. It's party time. Ankle lock on Lashley, and he finally manages to press up and forward roll, sends Angle to the floor. EY goes for the figure 4 with the Greg the Hammer Valentine shin guard. Lashley finally gets to the ropes after what seems like forever. EY gets a chair and wedges it between the top and middle ropes, obviously setting up his own demise. Usually that's how it works, but not always. Sometimes it doesn't. So Lashley nails a half-hearted clothesline, and 2, because obviously doesn't have enough power and force behind it because he's working on one leg here. Hanging vertical suplex, the murder death kill misses, and Lashley goes headfirst hard into that chair that's wedged in the corner. Angle slam on Eric Young, angle slam on Lashley, Angle heads up top, hits the moonsault on the injured leg, and that's all she wrote. 1, 2, 3, Kurt Angle defeats both Bobby Lashley and Eric Young to win the match. He celebrates, he leaves, and obviously Lashley is kind of in some dire straits, and Eric Young takes advantage of an opportunity and beats the daylights out of Lashley with a steel chair to that injured leg and Pillmanizes the leg. Locks on that figure 4 with a shin guard and basically has to be pulled off. So that's how we end the show. I like crazy Eric Young. I like goofy crazy Eric Young's one thing. Psychotic Eric Young is a thing of beauty. I love this more than anything. Eric Young is doing some great heel work in TNA. And for those of you that don't know anything more about Eric Young than just TNA matches, do some homework. Seriously. Eric Young is the real deal, and I've been saying it for years. And I'm really happy to see that he's actually got some great runs with the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. And I do think eventually he's going to get another one. Maybe not like right away, but I think it'll happen eventually. I liked the main event. It was a good back and forth match. I really enjoyed the chemistry between the 3 superstars. Everybody had a reason to be out there. Something in my throat, sorry. Great episode of TNA. Kong and Kim, great match. I enjoyed that. The Revolution 3-Way basically did what it had to do to get Koya into the match with James Storm. The 6-man made sense. It obviously built up the Rising, and it introduced Homicide into the Beatdown Clan, which he should have been in since day one. Short TV match with Davey Richards and DJ Zema Ion. I thought that worked really well. And the promos from everyone worked really well. I like the in-ring promo from everybody, proving why the tag team titles mean something in TNA. So, it's interesting, because in both companies right now, you like to compare and contrast, and a lot of fans like to do that. You've got tag teams, one of which who is out for a long time, and the other one's going to have to be a singles guy. So, yeah, I think that it's going to work out a lot better for Davey Richards than it will for Mr. Uso. So, yeah, it was a great show. I enjoyed it. I like the Dollhouse concept. I think it's going to be interesting to see where we go from this. I do know where we're going with this. We can't talk about it yet, because it's kind of my want to not talk about something until it happens on television. So that's what we got for TNA this week. Next week, obviously, next Wednesday, we will talk all about Tag Team Gold and what happened on the April 17th edition of Impact Wrestling. And that will end your wrestling coverage for another week here on Pop. Tomorrow, we're going to do another sip and snack. Of course, it's Thursday tradition here on Pop, and it's going to be Red Bull. Yes, I work 6 to 11, and I'm going to drink 5 Red Bulls. This is going to be entertaining for us all. Friday, AJ's movie reviews may have to take a day to get started. It depends. I know right now something I did not know before. Obviously, talks about the Kevin James movie that does not need mentioning. And Unfriended as well, excuse me, as Monkey Kingdom, which may or may not get pushed to next week. There's a way to work it out. I got thrown a curveball. Child 44 is only in 500 screens, so it wasn't that. We actually got a limited release of Woman in Gold, so that may end up happening on AJ's movie reviews. Not sure yet. So we may have to flip-flop Saturday and Friday. If that is the case, Friday will be an edition of my decrypting of Dr. Jimmy's 7, 8, and 9 Cryptic Performances for Halloween Horror Nights 25. Got to bring that video to you guys soon anyway. So, what better time than if we do it on either Friday or Saturday that video is coming. Gaming with Ash this week, obviously, is coming on Saturday or could be on Friday. Just depends on how it works out. Sunday, brand new Versus or Cryptic Common and Spotlight. Card subject to change because I don't know if we're going to have the actual visual aid or not. If we don't, then we're going to flip that to next week and we're going to bring up the trains instead. So yeah, train time. Choo-choo. So yeah, we're going to bring up the Express. And I'm not talking about the football movie either. That's going to be coming. And of course, Monday, we're going to kick off the week of wrestling, NXT on Monday, Ashley and I talk Raw on Tuesday, and another edition of Impact Wrestling on Wednesday, Sip and Snack on Thursday, and AJ's movie reviews back to normal, Age of Adeline and Little Boy on Friday. Gaming with Ash on Saturday, Cryptic Comment for Versus, either, like I said, Spotlight or Train. So yeah, whichever you want to look at. That being said, as always, thank you guys and girls out there for watching. If you like these videos, tell your friends about them, leave a comment, do subscribe, help spread the word about Pop. If you haven't yet, go to Facebook, go ahead and click like on our Facebook fan page. Just takes a minute, Sir Owen Disney Pop. Follow me on Twitter at Sir Owen Disney. Friend request me on Facebook at Owen Disney. And if you do friend request me, let me know that you are a fan or you watch the channel or you like what I'm doing instead of me thinking that it's like a spam bot or something, because I've had that happen a lot lately. So that pretty much covers that base. Or if you like to send ideas for our regular segments, like Versus or Sip and Snack, or Vlog of Randomness was on a sabbatical right now, but it will return in September, if not before then. If you want to talk Disney, Universal, Halloween Horror Nights, it is the season after all. Or if you'd like to talk wrestling with me, we can do that. Ask me questions I can't answer on here for good reason. Or if you'd like to become a popcaster yourself, send your videos to siroandisney@gmail.com. So in the meantime, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I got to say about that.